Hey guys, Eric, your coach here, and welcome to meeting number 8 on preventing cancellations and how to handle them first aid. I know that you guys have been working really hard, and so I'm really excited to keep hearing your success stories. Just tell me your challenges too. Tell me what's going on and how things are going. As this is the 8th meeting that you're having here, chances are you've even gone back and watched a training session uh, previously over again. And so tell me about those things. What challenges are you running into? You're welcome to email me. The email address is right here, ericyourcoach@charter.net. You can, of course, go on any social media through the website and find me as well. And we can stay in communication that way. So I also want you guys right now to do your follow-up. So you may need to pause this and go through these, but you should have your leaders for what we just covered over here, psychology and transfer of care, the answering questions, how to use questions, getting 3 yeses, who's your lead on that, emotional exams, finding the why, making sure you understand what that is, asking for referrals, your 95-5 rule, using permission statement, eliminating limiting terms, applying DISC, adapting to their DISC style, using the platinum rule, your intake form, and verification of research. So for a moment, push the pause button, go through your list, do your follow-ups, check with all your team leads for each of those items, and see how you're doing. If you're having challenges, talk about how to work on it. If you don't know, then you can email me. All right, push the pause button and go for it. All right, so preventing cancellations. Notice it doesn't say handling cancellations. First aid will be something that we do if the cancellation call does come in. Look, there's a system for everything. When there's a system for a verbal skill, we got a chance for success. And so I want to help you guys the best way I know how, and that's with verbal skills. And we know that you're the expert, but we're going to work on the people skills to really get through this. So this is a part of the 85% prevention and first aid. Some things we're going to cover today in meeting number 8, preventing cancellations and first aid. Reason for return. We're going to talk about raising the bar conversation. It's a reservation, not an appointment. We'll talk about how doctors play a huge role in this. And then we'll get into actually how to handle a cancellation call until we get really good at preventing them. And lots of ideas that go along with this. All right, so let's jump right in right away. Stopping cancellations. All right, you guys ready? Let's do this. We now have a new office rule. Just a few words, just something that we have to understand. What's funny about this rule is it's in existence whether you like it or not. In fact, you've been teaching people how to treat you all along. So if you get lots of cancellations, it's a reflection of how you've been creating the culture and the environment with those patients. So we're going to now teach them how to treat us differently. So we teach people how to treat us. And you guys know that if you want to get different results, you got to be willing to put in different action. So the definition of insanity is what? Doing the same thing over and over again, expecting a different result. So if you knew the answer to that, you've probably been through some counseling. So have fun with that and know this. Same actions, same result. You've been doing the same thing. You want cancellations, keep doing that. That's fine. But if you want to change that, then you got to change your actions. So it really is important to know 3 key areas that we're going to work on. That is, what does it cost? That's what we need to know. So we're going to get in that here first. We're going to talk about prevention, of course, how to handle them. So let's talk about cost first. We have a tendency to blame someone who answers the phone, and at the cost, an emotional cost is blaming the person who happens to be answering the phone. Could be anybody picking up the phone. It's nobody's fault. It's everyone's responsibility on the whole team when we get cancellations. And so it's everyone's responsibility, everyone's. So let's talk about how we can all pitch in. Here's the cost right here. All right. So if you have one doctor open hour per day, at a minimum, it's $500 per hour. That 4 days a week is $95,000 a year. Okay. That's just the doctor. If you have one hygiene opening per day, 4 days a week, that's $42,000 a year. Now, if you have 2 hygienists with 2 open hours, you do the math, you're upwards of $200,000 of lost opportunity. It's expensive. Not to mention, you guys are constantly working the phones, trying to get somebody else back in, working the phones, trying to get someone back in. That is extremely costly when you could be doing something else. You could be working the overdue hygiene list, unscheduled treatment plan list. There's things that we could be doing differently to help with this cost. So when we talk about changing their perception of who we are, I want you to understand something. When we teach people how to treat us, I want you to imagine from the patient's perception, how they perceive us. Your life is a timeline. As you're fully aware, there's a timeline: birth, death, all the events in between that you remember that are impactful enough for you to remember. Now, I want you to just stand that upright, and floating to the top of that timeline, this vertical timeline, is all of the important events in your life. So, what's the most important event that happened in your life? Start calling some things out. Obviously, birth. Without birth, you're not here. All right. Maybe weddings, childbirths, graduations, just big events in your life that stand out to you at the very top. And then beneath that, you got another category, like maybe it's concerts or sporting events or vacations you went on. Those have really, really good memories to you. Maybe underneath that, you have tragedy, funerals, injuries, surgeries, things like that you are remembering, that are at the top of your list. Okay. And then down beneath that, you might have like kids, concerts, or events that you've gone to for the children. And then you keep going down, 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 and you end up with other events in your life down here. Now, let me ask you a question. Maybe down here's like doctor appointments, the dental office, right? Where do we end up on this list? For most people, we're down towards the bottom. Who put us there? We teach people how to treat us, so we put us there. We're never going to beat out a wedding or a childbirth. That's not going to happen. But we want to bump this up. We want to increase that perception. So that's what we're going to talk about today. All the things we're talking about is how to improve the sense of urgency and value that we provide, and avoid threatening policies. So prevention, 80% of our focus is going to be on prevention, and only 20% of our energy is going to be on first aid, because I want to eliminate the cancellation call coming in at all. I want to focus on preventing it. Sound good? All right. So answer this question. Who is perceived as the most powerful person in the office from the patient's perspective? The doctor. Now, notice I said perceived, right? So we need the doctor to make sure that he or she is portraying exactly what we want to be the emphasis. And the emphasis for the patient is prevention, hygiene, preventing bigger problems. So there's lots of things that the doctor can be doing. For example, new patients. Have you ever had a new patient not show up, cancel last minute, cancel the day before? Okay. Well, we have opportunity here. We have opportunity to improve our stats, our results here, and our success rate. And that is having the doctor call the new patients. Now, this does not replace courtesy calls. That's not what this is replacing. This is something in addition to that, completely separate. So keep in mind, you probably see 1 to 2 new patients a day per doctor. That would be pretty typical. Okay. So what we want to do is make sure that our doctors aren't on the phone all day long. They're calling 1 or 2 adult comprehensive exam new patients, okay, that are, non-emergencies that make sense to call. And so, scheduling coordinators, filter this out. Make sure that you give the right people to call to the doctor. And you might call the day they scheduled the appointment. You might call a few days before their new patient visit. I would say as long as within 5 business days, you're okay to call. Now, what do you say? Very simple. Hopefully, this says night before. I prefer the day before, because hopefully you get the answer machine. And what I would do is I would call and say, hi, Ricky Bobby. This is Dr. Vickery. Sorry I missed you. I was simply calling to introduce myself to you before your first visit here in our office tomorrow. Look forward to seeing you. Have a great evening, and bring all your questions with you tomorrow, and we'll go over them. Have a great night. Bye. No phone number. No need to call me back. None of that. It's a simple introductory call. Pretty easy to do, right? Now, The one thing that I want our doctors to do in this perception of the most powerful person is at the end of the operative visit. So they came in for hygiene, we diagnosed, they scheduled treatment. At the end of this treatment, they've got another hygiene visit in the future. But at the end of this treatment visit, the assistant will nudge the doctor in the right way and say, next visit, doctor, or doctor, Ricky Bobby has his next visit scheduled with Ginger already in April. And that will prompt the doctor to then empower, emphasize, stress the importance of that next hygiene visit. Okay. So it'll go like this. If I'm the doctor, I say, Ricky Bobby, I got to say, I'm so glad that you saw our hygienist, Ginger, when you did. You were able to catch this issue before it turned into a major problem. And I think that's why that visit is so important. I know you have your next visit scheduled with her no more than 6 months apart. I think that's great. And that distance between those appointments is actually, there's a reason behind that. That allows us to stay on top of issues and prevent them from becoming catastrophic or big issues, painful issues. And so I cannot stress enough how important that appointment is that you have with Ginger here in a few months. All right, we'll see you then, and ... carry on the conversation. But this is something that has to be done because the patient is saying, wow, if the doctor thinks it's important, it must be. Now, think about this. If you look at your cancellation rate, would you say you have more hygiene cancellations or more doctor cancellations? What would you say you have? And I would say you have more hygiene cancellations typically. And the reason for that is because the perception is, oh, it's with the doctor. It's of value. I got a bigger problem. And this over here, hygiene, it's just a cleaning. We've got to change that. Now, I will say there's an asterisk to that. I do have offices that have fewer hygiene cancellations because their hygiene department is so booked. They're booked 3 months solid, and they just do not get cancellations. The patients will keep their appointment. They do not reschedule. And those offices do not schedule 3 and 3 6-month appointments. They don't do that because then the patient goes, I'll just cancel this one. I'll go with the next one. They don't do that. They don't schedule 2 6-month appointments. They schedule just this appointment, and they express to the patient before they leave how the schedule looks. So we'll talk about raising the bar and making the time important. So doctors, you got at the end of operative visit conversation, and that your assistant will prompt you on. Then you have your new patient introductory calls that your admin person will prep you for and give you a couple intake forms, grasp forms to call these patients a couple days before. All right, sound good? Write down those action items. All right, and hygiene. Here's one other thing I know about hygiene cancellations is when I do tracking, if you don't have a coaching results tracker in your office right now, or you're not tracking somehow and you're having me or someone else review it, then we need to do that. But when I look at tracking, I see two numbers that are emphatically related. They are so connected. And if you're into government or economists, or you know the economy, you know that inflation and unemployment are just they're oppositely entangled, right? And when one is up, the other's down, and vice versa. When I see in the hygiene department a 30 or 35% or more periodontal percentage happening in the hygiene department, I see cancellations open time go down. Think about that for a moment. Why do you think that is? Why is it when perio is up in the hygiene department, cancellations go down? What do you think? Why do you think that is? Because that perception of that bar is like the doctor's appointment. It's more important. It's not just a cleaning anymore. And on top of it, offices that have a strong perio percentage in their practice are doing the right things in the prophy appointment to discover perio and move patients into perio if need be. But the patient's perception at a prophy appointment is it's not just a cleaning. They're evaluating the health of my gums. They're calling things out. Over your psychology, I'm hearing these problems. And it all works together. In connection with that, a reason for return. Documented in your hygiene notes, you've got to have a reason for return documented. Now, this is a conversation to have. It's a system to use, okay? 4 steps. Number 1, you're going to focus on the number 1 most important thing you want the patient to buy into is what? The condition, 95-5 rule. So I'm going to start with the condition. I'm going to use the word concerned. And then I'm going to see if they're concerned about it too. If they are, I'm going to make a recommendation because I'm the expert, and then I'm going to ask for the appointment. So here's how that sounds. I'm the hygienist, and I say to Marky Mark, I say, Marky Mark, I'm concerned about a couple things today that we talked about. One is that area I want to reevaluate on the upper right. That to me, it's at that place where I'm worried about a cavity forming there. And number two, I'm worried about the buildup and the tartar on your lower teeth on the tongue side. Those two concerns lead to bigger problems. Obviously, cavities, sensitivity, mobility, all these things that lead to bigger problems. And so the challenge is making sure that I help you stay on top of that. How concerned are you with making sure that we address those things, that we stay on top of it? Okay, good. I'm glad to hear you're concerned. Therefore, my recommendation is that we see you no more than 6 months from today, no more than 3 months from today. I'm setting a ceiling, no more than 6 months from today. That way you stay on top of this. They don't become bigger problems. Why don't we go ahead and get that appointment scheduled? How's that sound? Now, I know there's going to be administrators who are saying, hey, insurance says 6 months in a day. Well, then let's have that tug of war at the front desk and talk about hygienists saying, okay, but only 6 months in a day, no more than that, right? You have to connect condition and problems to length of time that they are apart from you. If you don't do that, they think, 6, 7 months, what does it really matter? It's just a cleaning. And you're not increasing the urgency, the perception of urgency. That's what all this is about. Now, you heard me say reevaluate in that reason for return. That is because we've eliminated the limiting term, watch it. Putting a watch on a tooth is a limiting term, and we no longer do that. It's reevaluate, okay? Now, the further out you schedule an appointment, the greater the risk is for that appointment to be canceled. We know this. So for your new patients, how many days out do you want to be scheduling them? Well, I always say, how long does motivation last? If I'm motivated, I haven't been to the dentist a long time, and I'm motivated, and I call the dental office, how long is that motivation going to last? Well, studies show motivation lasts about 7 days on average. So January 8th, there's a lot of empty gyms out there. So I don't want to schedule new patients beyond 7 days. So make sure you keep them within that time frame. And then for a 6-month hygiene visit, you've got to be really impactful to stress the importance of seeing them. So here, you've also got to have text and email systems set up. If you don't have one, email me. I'll talk to you about the good ones and the bad ones before you buy one. Number two, you got to make sure that your confirmation process is healthy. So we'll talk about that in a moment. When I go from reason for return, I go right into explaining that this is a reservation, not an appointment. And so I've called this busy people or raising the bar conversation or making the time important. It's all the same conversation. 3 steps, really, really easy. I'm going to talk about how it's all about giving them high quality, individualized care. I'm going to talk about that's why it's a reservation, not an appointment. And then I'm going to talk about how I need their help to keep the appointments where they are to benefit everyone. And does that sound fair? So how that sounds is I say, I just finished reason for return, and now I'm into the reservation conversation. So I say, Marky Mark, when I schedule you for this appointment no more than 6 months from today, I want to make sure that we're on the same page with things. I'm going to show you, I'm a hygienist, I'm going to show you my schedule here. It's a HIPAA version of your schedule. I'm going to show you how I do things, okay? So the reason that we schedule the way we do is we want to give you the best care possible, the highest of quality. And that means we have to give you individualized attention. And the only way we can do that is if I actually reserve an hour of my time just for you to give you that care. So really, we don't work on appointments, we work on reservations. And we do that for everyone. And we ask all of our patients the same thing. Will you also block an hour of your time in your schedule just for me? And hold that time precious in your calendar as well. Does that sound fair to you? And I asked that question. So there's 2 conversations right there. Reason for return, raising the bar, making the time important, that give you an opportunity to stress the importance of keeping the appointment. Notice there's no policy, there's no threat. I don't have anywhere, hey, if you cancel, within 48 hours, Um, we're going to charge you money. As long as you cancel 49 hours in advance, it's okay. All that verbiage is gone from all of my written material. Text messages don't say, cancel 25 hours in advance, otherwise there's a charge. Policy is just a nice word for threat. I don't threaten anyone anymore. I explain what we're doing. I stress the importance of the timing of things connected to their health, and I ask for their commitment to that time. It's called communication. So the further out we schedule, the more important these conversations are. Now, hygienist, how many times a day would you have to have these two conversations with your patients, would you say? Hopefully 8-ish. Every single patient that comes in, you got to have these conversations with them. Now, this conversation can be had by anyone. Administrators, at the end of your new patient phone call, you raise the bar. You explain how you schedule them. I'm blocking an hour and a half of my doctor's time just for you. It's a reservation. That way you get the best care possible. What we ask is that you also block an hour and a half just for us on your calendar and hold that time precious. Does that sound fair to you? All right. You've got to set the bar. You're going to have to raise this bar up and let them know where you're going to be. All right. So if you're scheduling new patients far out beyond that 7 days, find a reason, an excuse to give them a call, connect with them. That doctor new patient call, introducing yourself is a good one. But maybe you just call and say, hey, Dr. Smith asked me to call you. He wants to make sure that you were able to fill out your medical history information okay, and that you got that paperwork fine. Okay, great. I want to make sure you had that. And you're calling 5 days in advance. That's not even your courtesy call. That's just another reason. If you had to schedule somebody 2 or 3 weeks out, you need to connect. If somebody's motivated to get in to see you and you schedule them 3 weeks out for a new patient visit and they hang up the phone, chances are they may try to get in somewhere else or just forget about you and not be motivated. Okay? So, reason for return, making the time important, or it's a reservation, not an appointment. It's been called a lot of things. The important part of those 3 steps. Okay. We just talked about transfer of care. So make sure that when you bring a patient out, now I've done reason for return, made the time important. I bring this patient out to my administrator, Rebecca, the receptionist, and I say, Rebecca, Mark and I are both concerned about helping him maintain his health. And so he wanted to schedule his next visit with me no more than 6 months from today. I am recommending that. And so I went ahead and reserved an hour of my time just for him. He understands that that's a reservation, not just an appointment, and he's put it in his calendar already. Right, Marky Mark? And I nod my head. Look, guys, if you're not doing that, then you're just hoping they show up. You're relying on that hope. That's dangerous. That's dangerous. Okay, let's keep going. Courtesy calls. I just keep this really simple on setting the expectation. I simply just say the we look forward to seeing you part of this. So I say, hi, Betty, this is Eric calling from Dr. Bryant's office. We have you scheduled with Ginger in 2 days, 2 business days, this coming Thursday at 3:00. We look forward to seeing you then. Have a great day. I don't leave a phone number. I don't say if you have any questions, give us a call back. I don't need them to call back and confirm because I've been doing everything that I just talked about. It's confirmed when I schedule the appointment. If I say, yeah, wondering if you're confirming this, give us a call so we know you're confirming that you're for sure coming in. You just gave them an out. And I'm not going to confirm it. I'm good. They're not expecting me. You just created more work for yourself and you devalued your time. Notice I got rid of some limiting terms in that process. It's not a confirmation call. Let's talk about cancellations. I don't say cancellation to someone. You'll hear me talk about getting them in sooner here in a moment. And I don't remind them of their appointment either. And I didn't say it was a cleaning. I said you're with Ginger. It's just a cleaning, right? You're scheduled with Ginger. You have a reservation. You have a reserved time with her. I've heard it gone beyond that. I've heard it, this is Eric calling from Dr. Bryant's office. We have you scheduled an hour of Ginger's time is reserved just for you this coming Thursday at 3:00. We look forward to seeing you then. So they expand upon that. So push the pause button, talk about how you guys want to adapt your courtesy calls, your reason for return, or even making the time important. This is a good time to push pause. All right. let's get into first aid, part 2 of this meeting. So really we're putting 2 meetings in one here. So we're about 20, 30 minutes in. So if you want to split this meeting up into 2 parts, you're welcome to do that. This would be the place to do that. So let's get into this and look at it. We do all these things. And let's say this, first of all, the results you're getting today are based upon what you were doing 6 months ago. So if you weren't doing any of these things that we're talking about, your results are going to vary. They're not going to be as solid as we like them to be. So you may still be getting cancellation calls right now. But as soon as you implement everything I'm saying, I would expect a cancellation rate of single digits, somewhere between 5% plus or minus of 3%, somewhere, I've seen as low as 3 hours a month to a good success rate of 8 or 9 hours a month. If you're in that range, you work about 100 to 110 hours a month as a 4-day-a-week provider. So if you're in that range, you're doing pretty good. But right now, it may be closer to the national average, 33% open time. So if that's happening, you may still be getting cancellation calls until this is fully implemented. And so we need to teach these people how to treat us when they call us. And so we're going to go over this with them. Okay. So when we answer the phone, they say, or even better, I'm doing my courtesy call and I do that verbiage that we just went over. And they say, I'm so glad you called. I was just getting ready to what? Call you. You know what? That two's not even, what do they say? Bothering me. So I'm going to go ahead and cancel. Guys, that's not because your courtesy call verbiage is messed up. That's because the patient didn't buy the condition to begin with or the consequences. That's a case acceptance thing. So if they say that, don't say, okay, let's get you rescheduled. No, it's not okay. Or if they call and cancel, don't say, okay, let's get you an appointment. We say, oh, well, that's a shocker. That's never happened before. That's your tone of your voice. And so, oh, well, is everything okay? Yeah, I just can't make it. Boss called a meeting. Wow, hold on one second. Let me pull your chart. Guys, don't make it easy for them. Don't make it easy to cancel. You make it difficult for them to do the things you don't want them to do, and you make it easy for them to do the things you want them to do, which is keep the appointment. So I put them on hold, and I'm going to go get their chart. And when I go get their chart, what am I looking for? 2 things. What am I looking for? Have they done this to us before? And number 2, we just talked about earlier in this meeting. Reason for return. What's that condition? Because they obviously didn't buy into the fact that there's a problem here. Oh, it's just a cleaning, or the two's not bothering me. They didn't get it. And I've got to do the best job I can as an administrator, which is tough because I'm not clinical. So I pick up the phone back up and I go this way. I say, look, I pulled up your chart, and last time you're in and you saw Ginger, she was concerned about the buildup, the calculus on your lower teeth, and an area she wanted to reevaluate for a cavity on the upper right. And that's why she wanted us to schedule you no more than 6 months from your last visit to stay on this tight time frame. The reason I bring that up is she doesn't have another reservation spot available for how long, guys? 4 weeks, at least 4 weeks. You can go beyond that if you want. You can say 8 weeks, whatever that is. Okay. Even if you have something tomorrow or next week, that's what you say. Are you sure there isn't any way you can keep this appointment today so that we can stay on top of your health? Nope. If I don't go to this meeting, I will be fired. I understand. Let's find a time you can commit to and get a reservation with Ginger here in the future. I put a note in my appointment. If I'm using like Dentrix, I insert Dateline right in the appointment, tell what they said, employment meeting, right? So that if it keeps happening, I have it documented over and over again what they did. I pinboard it. I go week at a glance. I go out 4 weeks. And then I say, all right, so Ginger's here Monday through Thursday. Which day of the week do you have the most control over in your schedule? And they say, it doesn't matter the day, it's the time of day. Okay, so what time of day do you have the most control over in your schedule? So this doesn't happen again. After 3. Okay, I've got this after 3 or this after 3. Which would work best for you? And put them in there. And then they say, they're starting to get that this has some urgency to it. They say, well, if you get anything sooner, can you give me a call? Or if you get a cancellation, give me a call. They're basically saying, if somebody else does this to you, give me a call. First of all, they're never available when I want to get them in last minute. It's too last minute. It's day before. Oh, I can't do that. It's after 3. They're so committed to a time where it's got to be, 83 degrees out after 3 p.m. on a Monday. That's not a holiday and blah, blah, blah. Too many exceptions. It's so hard to get people in. So here's what I say to them. I say, because the schedule is the way it is, 4 weeks out, she's very popular and it is booked. We really don't get changes in the schedule. But I know this is important to you. So here's what I can do. Let me talk with Ginger and see if there's any way she can open up some time in her schedule, maybe a day here or there. And if there's something, I will give you a call. Would that work for you? And if they say, oh yeah, I really want to get in sooner, it's just tomorrow, it's the only day that doesn't work for me, or what have you. If you want, you can hang up and call them back, or you can say, oh my gosh, Ginger's walking by right now. Hold on 1 second. You put them on hold. Either way, it doesn't matter to me. And you've already put them out 4 weeks. And this is more work, but you're teaching them how to treat you. You're not making it easy. You make it easy, they're going to keep doing it. And so you say, get back on the phone. You say, hey, I talked with Ginger, and she said she would open up some time in 2 days at 3 p.m. for you, 4 p.m., whatever it is, 2 p.m., if you were certain it would work for your schedule. Would that work? And then you have to move the appointment all again. And I know it's a lot of work, but you got to do this to retrain them. It's a retraining process. Make sense? All right. So you're arguing for that next appointment. You're stressing the condition, and you're not making it easy for them. And you don't have any lists anymore. There's no cancellation list. There's no ASAP list. There's no priority list. There's no quick fill list, because all that does is say to them that you get cancellations. I was sitting in my son's orthodontist office, and who's now a client, but at the time they were not. And we've worked on this. And listening, and actually this team member isn't there anymore, but listening to the receptionist make phone call after phone call it's about 4:30 in the afternoon, make all these phone calls to all these families. And she said basically the same thing. She said, hi, Mrs. Jones, little Bobby has an appointment next Thursday. We had an opening in our schedule tomorrow. Wondering if you want to come in a week early. No. Okay, we'll see you next Thursday. Call the next family. Hi, Mrs. Smith. Yeah, little Jimmy has an appointment next week, and we had a change in our schedule, an opening, change in our schedule, cancellation, whatever. She was saying all these different things in that spot. Change in the schedule tomorrow at 3:00. Wonder if you want to come in a week early. No. Okay, we'll see you next week. But she was calling all these families. And what was she telling them? Think about that for a second. What was she telling them? Hey, if you ever need me and you need to cancel an appointment, call me. I'm going to call other people to fill your spot. And she's planting little cancellation time bombs in all of these households, saying it's okay, other people do it. We had a change in the schedule. We had an opening. Patients interpret that as a cancellation. So if you want to fill your schedule and you want to call people, you would say, hi, Mrs. Smith. Dr. Bryant asked me to give you a call. Little Johnny has an appointment next Thursday, and he was concerned about the timing of everything and wanted to know if it would work for you guys to come in tomorrow at 4. And if so, he would make time to make sure we got you in the schedule tomorrow instead of waiting that extra week. Would that be something that would work for you guys? No? Okay. Well, we'll see you next week. And if I can, I'll work with him on opening up some more time if need be. Okay. So you're planting a seed of urgency that also is going to help them make sure they don't reschedule next week's appointment too. So it's all in how you say it. All right. Now, you do this. You start going through this. This is a turkey. So you get a turkey and you reschedule them 1 month out. That's the first time you reschedule. The second time, okay, having to reschedule. Maybe they made a couple appointments and you got to reschedule them. Maybe even more than a month out this second time. And you're keeping track on that appointment note. Third down, they're a patient in training. So what you decide is one of two things. There's no more policy. So I don't to fee or not to fee. I don't charge, because if I charge someone, they're just pissed off. They're going to leave a bad review. They're not coming back and they're not paying the fee anyway. Okay. So what I do instead is I give them two options. I say, look, it's obviously very difficult. You have a very busy schedule. It's hard to get you in. Let's do one of two things here. Let's either A, you call us on a day you know you can commit to, and if we have availability in the schedule, we'll put you in that day. Or B, the second option would be you pay for your appointment in advance by phone to show us that you're committed to the time that we're going to reserve just for you. This appointment is $237. So if you'd like to pay that, then I can hold that time for you. Oh, you have insurance? Okay. Well, it's the same thing. We ask that you pay for it, and then your insurance can reimburse you, or it can pay us and have a credit on file, whatever you prefer. Okay, you'd like to do day of? We can absolutely do that. So you call us on a day you know you can commit to, and we'll have the appointment ready to go. And if we have availability, we'll put you in. All right. Those are your options. Now, you put them in that day. They call you that day, and you put them in. They call you up and say, hey, I can come in today. You put them at noon, and they don't show up. The fourth time they've missed, they're a turkey. And just like in football, what do you do when there's a turkey? You get rid of them, right? It's time to punt. And that's what we have to do. We have to punt and get rid of that patient at that time. And so I have dismissal letters. If you want them, just email me, Eric, your coach at charter.net, request dismissal letters, and I'll be happy to send them to you. All right. Excellent. All right. What's the most dreaded day in the dental office because of the answer machine? That would be Monday because we tend to get the most cancellations on the answer machine. And so is your answer machine your automatic cancellation collection machine? And you walk in Monday and you see the blinking light on the phone and you know you've got 47 messages on there and you're taking cancellation after cancellation after cancellation. And then you're the bad news person at the morning huddle and you're bringing all this bad news in because people were able to cancel the answer machine. Listen, guys, there's a reason they're canceling on the answer machine. And that's because they know you're not there. They know you're not there. And so don't let them cancel on your answer machine. Okay. Now, I don't believe that we should express to people that cancellations are such an issue that we even talk about them on the answer machine. So how you talk about not canceling on the answer machine is really important. So I say, if it's in regards to scheduling an appointment or a scheduled appointment, please do not leave a message on this machine. Instead, call us during normal working hours. So let's take a look at some scripting here. Here's an option. Thank you for calling the office of Dr. Smith. We're closed. Our office hours are Monday through Thursday, 8 to 5. If you have an emergency or a change in your scheduled appointment, please call doctor at their personal phone number. This machine does not accept appointment changes. Thank you for calling, and we look forward to speaking with you soon. Now, the change I'm talking about is if you have an emergency or you're calling in regards to a scheduled appointment, please do not leave any messages on this machine. Instead, call doctor at his personal number here. Thank you for calling. We look forward to speaking with you soon. Now, listen, guys, they're not going to call and bother the doctor because of an appointment. And if they do, doctor's just gone through the verbal skills to how to handle this. Oh, was everything okay? I know last time you were in, I was really worried about that tooth. What's going on? Have a conversation with them. You're a big boy or big girl. You can do this, right? You can handle this. So, but most of the time, they're not even going to call the doctor. And sure, they might cancel the appointment on the answer machine still. That might still happen, but you're not making it easy to do. Don't make it just your automatic cancellation acceptance machine. I have more examples of these. If you want, you can look at these. Thanks for calling. If you have an emergency, call the doctor. If you're calling regarding scheduled appointments, call us during normal working hours. We're not here. Don't leave a message, right? Please call us during working hours regarding scheduling appointments or a scheduled appointment. Make sense? Really easy to do. Here's a trick question. Whose voice should be on the machine? Remember, who's perceived as the most powerful person in the office from the patient's perspective? The doctor. So have the doctor leave this message. If the doctor is saying don't do it, they won't do it. Oh, yeah. Thanks again for calling. All right. So we covered a lot of things today, and I'm sure there's other things for us to talk about. Late patients, for example. You have a late patient at minute 5, they're late. Call them. Leave a message. Hey, Ricky Bobby, I'm calling. We had you scheduled at noon today. It's 12:05. We're worried. Give us a call as soon as you get this message so we know you're okay. Put in the notes of the appointment. Left late to appointment message. Say, okay, put it back in there. Do me a favor. If the patient shows up 7, 8, 9, 10 minutes late to their appointment, go right to them. Don't make them wait. Say, as the administrator, oh, Ricky Bobby, I'm glad you're okay. I left you a message. We were worried about you. You can ignore it. Were you aware that your appointment was at noon? Okay, it's 12:10. Let me go get Ginger and see if there's still time for her to get you in the schedule today and take care of you. I know she reserved a full hour just for you, and so I want to make sure she has enough time to do what she needs to today. Now, when you go get Ginger, do not dilly-dally and say, well, I'm going to make them wait now. And they sit down in the waiting room. No, it's a reception area. When they sit down in the reception area for another 5-10 minutes, their mentality is, see, I'm not late. They weren't ready for me anyway. Okay. Now, keep in mind, if you run late all the time in the past, and then all of a sudden you start making it a big deal, they're going to be like, well, what's the big deal? You're late all the time. So start running on time before you start laying into your patients. Walk right out to them, get them and bring them back, and don't even say what you're going to do. Just get them and get them back. And if you have time, only enough time to do the x-rays and the exam and the perio eval, then do that. Don't do the cleaning because they won't come back for those other things. Okay? Make sense? All right. We need a leader. Who's going to be our leader? So let's get to our action plan and leader section here. So open up your action plans, write down some things. A lot of ideas given to you over this meeting. Now, you could have split this up into prevention and first aid, last two meetings. So we need a prevention lead and we need a first aid lead. Those are people that are going to hold us accountable to making sure we're using these skills. So lots of things to write down. Reason for return, making the time important. It's a reservation. Doctor calls the night before. Doctor setting up the next hygiene visit, right? Do your transfer of care properly. All of those things. Your courtesy call verbiage. What are you going to do there? Making sure that you're setting the bar high on every appointment, whether it's on the phone or in person. Changing your appointment card verbiage. Maybe you have that policy written there. The bottom of my appointment card said, this time is reserved exclusively for you. Your commitment is greatly appreciated. Okay. Then first aid, write down, oh, not okay. Get their chart. Write those things down that you need to do. Follow the first aid protocol. Make sure you're not talking about having openings or cancellations. There's no lists anymore. Put patients on a pit list if you need to. Don't charge them. And then how to deal with late patients as well. So lots of things. Oh, answer machine too. Make sure you have someone on this. So write down all these things, push pause, decide who your leader is, and then come right back and we'll wrap up. All right. So next meeting, we're going to get into objections, how to handle them. We've got a simple format for engaging them. And that way you're not in any sort of argument or, fussing with the patient when it comes, or you don't feel like you're selling them or pressuring them either. Okay. So that's your next meeting and we'll get to that soon. All right, you guys are the best. Thank you so much for doing such a great job. And I really appreciate you guys. And I look forward to hearing more success stories from you. All right, guys, take care.